All right, so let's dive into something pretty profound, okay? Imagine the universe, right? But not as like a bunch of static objects just hanging around, but more like a constant flowing dance, this kind of like fundamental rhythm that's like pulsing beneath everything we see and experience. It's kind of an amazing thought, isn't it? And it's so cool how this idea of an eternal cosmic order, this fundamental rhythm, is something that's been articulated in ancient Vedic wisdom. Like there's this truly beautiful line in the Rig Veda that says, Etenatama pieta dhruva vishvam. It basically means, by Uta, the eternal order, the universe is firmly fixed. And today, we're going to explore this whole concept of a cosmic dance through the lens of one of the most captivating forms of Lord Shiva, Nataraja.
Exactly. And whether you've come across Nataraja before, seen the images, or if this is totally new to you, what we're aiming for in this deep dive is to really go beyond simply recognizing the image and really grasp its deeper meaning, We're going to unpack how this ancient symbolic representation actually connects with some pretty modern scientific perspectives, those aha moments that make you see things in a whole new light.
For sure. I love those moments. So today's focus is really clear-cut, right? We're looking at the Havam, that's the expression, the mood of Lord Shiva as Nataraja. And we're going to do this through the lens of these amazing Vedic texts. We've got such a great selection of sources to work with today, including excerpts from Vedic Foundations of Cosmic Order, with verses from the Rig Veda, the Atharva Veda, and then some fascinating passages from the Shiva Purana, Spada-Karika, the Maitreya Upanishad, and of course the super fundamental Nasadiya Sutta.
It's going to be quite a journey, and our mission really is to kind of unravel the rich symbolism that's embedded within the Nataraja form. We want to get a sense of how ancient Vedic thought actually conceived of the universe's fundamental nature, like its creation, how it's sustained, even its eventual dissolution, all contained within this single incredibly potent image.
It's mind-blowing, right? So let's actually visualize Nataraja for a second. Yeah, the Lord of Dance. I mean, this is so much more than just a beautiful sculpture, you know what I mean? It's this dynamic, multifaceted representation of Shiva. It's like the entirety of cosmic activity is embodied within this one powerful image.
Yes, exactly. It's almost like a visual language for philosophical ideas. And a key concept to understanding it all is Shiva's cosmic dance, which is known as the Tattvha. The Shiva Purana actually gives us this wonderful description of the Tattvha as the very source, like the wellspring of the universe's cyclical rhythms.
And we have this super compelling quote from the Shiva Purana, which really gets to the heart of it. Nidatvajaka nichamahestiti vidurantar prayaka punasaitata puna. It essentially says, through his dance, creation arises. In its midst, the universe is sustained. At its end, dissolution comes, and then creation begins anew. Wow, talk about a cyclical view of existence, right?
Right. What's truly insightful here is the way it directly connects the dance with the fundamental phases of the cosmos. The origination, the maintenance, and the ultimate transformation. They're all seen as intrinsic parts of this unbroken, flowing process, that's inherent to Shiva's being as Nataraja.
It's really amazing to contemplate. Now, can we zero in on some of the symbolic elements in this iconic image? For example, let's talk about the Damaru, that small double-headed drum that Nataraja is holding in one of his hands. You might think, it's just a little drum, but it actually has this huge significance, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The Shiva Purana explains that the Damaru is a symbol of the primal sound, the nada. It's the very vibration that, according to Vedic thought, space-time emerged from. It's the unmanifest becoming manifest, you could say, through this incredible sonic energy.
And there's this really powerful quote from the Shiva Purana that makes it so clear, the Marukam Brahmayan Sayati Shibatamatrai Shagatrayam. Spinning his drum, he generates the subtle essence of sound, birthing the three worlds. I mean, just think about that for a minute. Sound as the fundamental building block of everything.
It's an amazing concept to ponder, for sure. And this idea isn't confined to the Puranas. The Atharva Veda also picks up on this theme. It says, Tasitina vakaprasta yadanadam esacheta. From the resonance of his voice, sound arose and creation unfolded. This just underscores, the Vedic understanding of sound as being fundamental to existence. It's not just a way to communicate, but rather it's woven into the very fabric of reality. It's reality emerging, really.
It really does make you think about the power of vibration in a whole new way. Now, those flames that are encircling Nataraja, right? They're pretty intense looking.
Oh, yes. Those flames are representing samhara, transformative destruction. But, and this is crucial, within this context, destruction isn't this, final annihilation, like the end of everything. Instead, it's seen as a necessary, integral part of the whole cosmic cycle. It's about clearing the way for renewal and new beginnings.
The Shiva Purana puts it so vividly. Pradiptai valenotasya pralayanala vantena dakdapuna satakaroti jagata prahu. His blazing fire, akin to the inferno of dissolution, burns all creation. Then the Lord begins it anew. It's this constant letting go of the old to create space for the new, right?
Exactly. It's like a dynamic equilibrium, a cosmic recycling process. And, this cyclical narrative that we see in the Shiva Purana, it actually has some intriguing parallels with certain concepts that are explored in modern cosmology, like those oscillating universe models, where the universe expands and then contracts in cycles. While those models aren't the mainstream view in cosmology today, they do offer a fascinating resonance with this ancient philosophy, right? It suggests a universe that has this inherent ability to renew itself, which is quite different from those purely linear models of expansion.
It's a really interesting parallel for sure, this ancient idea of cosmic cycles finding echoes in modern scientific thought. So earlier you mentioned the Vedic concept of spanda. Can you help us understand how that fits into the whole picture of Nataraja's dance and the universe's dynamism?
Sure. Spanda, which means cosmic vibration or like a subtle throb of energy, is so beautifully articulated in the Spanda Karika. It says, Nityodita swatmarati prakasha vishafuranta sfuraneka mudlam. The universe is a pulsating manifestation rooted in the singular vibration of the Absolute. So this idea of a fundamental underlying vibration, that permeates all of existence, connects deeply with the symbolism of the Damaru and Nataraja's whole dynamic posture. It's like saying the universe isn't static, but it's in a constant state of subtle flux, like a ceaseless movement coming from a single unified source. It's fascinating how this idea that even the vacuum of space isn't really empty, but is actually vibrating with potentiality, kind of echoes this Vedic concept of nada as the unmanifest source. I mean, it's not a direct scientific equivalency, but it shows a shared intuition about how fundamentally dynamic reality is.
Yeah, it's like the universe has this continuous subtle heartbeat, this constant vibrational energy at its core.
Really cool. So going back to the Damaru's rhythm, are there any connections, even speculative ones, to how we understand energy and matter in modern science?
Well, it's definitely in the realm of speculation, but there are some intriguing parallels that people have drawn between the rhythmic beat of the Damaru, and the concept of vibrating strings and string theory. String theory basically says that those fundamental particles aren't like these tiny points, but more like tiny vibrating loops or strings. The rhythmic beating of the Damaru, while it's definitely a symbolic representation, it kind of invites us to consider the role of vibration as this foundational element of reality. It's a theme that pops up across these vastly different frameworks. And when you look at Nataraja's whole posture, right, this dynamic but balanced form, it could be seen as a symbolic representation of that inherent duality that we see in quantum states. How things can act like both waves and particles, existing in this superposition of possibilities until they're observed. It's pretty mind-blowing to think about, isn't it? Now, what about the Rig Veda's Nataraja Sukta? That really powerful and mysterious hymn about the very beginning of creation. How does that fit in with this cosmic dance of Nataraja?
Right. Well, the Nataraja Sukta starts with this really profound description of the state of existence before creation. Tama asit tamasa guham agre apraketam salila sarvam idam. In the beginning, darkness lay hidden in darkness. All was unmanifested chaos. It's like painting this picture of a formless void before the cosmos, as we know it, came into being. And what's really relevant here is how order, or Ita, emerges from this seemingly chaotic state. It's almost like a reflection, in a way, of how self-organization can happen in these complex thermodynamic systems, seemingly going against the trend of increasing entropy. You could say that Nataraja's dance, guided by Atta, is the force that brings forth order and structure from this initial unmanifested potential that we hear about in the Nataraja Sukta.
So it's not like order is imposed from outside in that initial state of nothingness, but it kind of arises naturally, right? Guided by this inherent cosmic principle of Athe. It's a very powerful, self-organizing view of creation. And we should touch on the Vedic understanding of time, because it's pretty unique, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. In the Vedic perspective, time isn't always portrayed as this straight line, like a linear progression. It's often seen as more of a spiral. So it's cyclical, but it's continuously evolving at the same time. The Maitri Upanishad makes this clear. Kalasya parimasham ahur ahoratriya sabatsarera kosarvanai. Time's measure is declared through days, nights, and years, all cyclical divisions.
So even though we experience time as these linear moments, right, one after the other, there's also this underlying pattern of recurrence, these cycles within cycles. How does that relate to our current understanding of the universe's really big cycles, like on a cosmic scale?
Well, it kind of touches on this physics concept called the arrow of time. A lot of the fundamental laws of physics are time symmetric, meaning they work the same going forward and backward in time. But the way we experience time, macroscopically, is directional. And that's largely because of the second law of thermodynamics, with entropy increasing over time. The Vedic idea of dissolution in one cosmic cycle, then leading to the seeds of the next creation, could be seen as a kind of large-scale manifestation of this. Each cycle, isn't just a repeat, it's a renewal. It carries the potential for totally new configurations to arise from what was left behind in the previous cycle.
Wow, that's a really fascinating way to think about a time as both cyclical and progressive. Now, I think there's a particular quote from the Shiva Purana that seems to capture the truly all-encompassing nature of Nataraja's dance, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It says, Yatha nityapi devoso tata nityati vishvata. As the Lord dances, so dances the entire cosmos. It's basically saying that the entire universe, in all its complexity and dynamism, is essentially a reflection of Nataraja's ceaseless activity. It implies this fundamental interconnectedness, like every movement, every change is part of this grand cosmic choreography.
It's like saying the universe is this vast, intricate hologram, and every single part is reflecting that dynamic whole embodied by Nataraja.
That's a fantastic analogy. This idea that the cosmos is a holographic expression of Nataraja's dynamism suggests that even the smallest events, every quantum event, every interaction at the tiniest level is like a tiny mirror reflecting the larger dance of creation, preservation, and dissolution. It's pointing to this deep underlying unity.
And it all comes back to this fundamental interplay between order, yittatha, and that dynamic cosmic activity, which is often called lila, divine play.
Exactly. Nataraja embodies this synthesis so perfectly. And the Rig Veda, it has this beautiful way of capturing the essence of Ita. It says, Yasyatrigatni pariritani tasya samudre haidaya yatitasya. In the ocean of existence, the heart of Atta resides, all threefold worlds encircle it. This speaks to that underlying order, the inherent lawfulness that governs everything, even amidst the dynamic, you could even say, chaotic cosmic dance.
So it's not just random chaos, but it's like a divinely orchestrated play, Leela, guided by this intrinsic cosmic order of Auta. And it seems that the very foundation of this whole cosmic dance, the originating impulse, if you will, is sound itself.
Exactly. We come full circle to that profound statement, Nada Brahma, sound is the absolute. This really emphasizes how important vibration is in the Vedic understanding of reality. This idea that everything originates from and is sustained by this primordial cosmic sound. It's the ultimate source, really, from which all forms and phenomena emerge.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the key insights from this deep dive into the Nataraja Bhavam.
Sure. So we've explored how Nataraja is so much more than just an icon. It's a symbol, a really powerful and multifaceted one, of the cyclical nature of the universe, those continuous and interconnected processes of creation, sustenance, and dissolution, all playing out as this grand, eternal dance. We've looked at the deep significance of sound and vibration, symbolized by the Damaru, as the fundamental source from which the cosmos arises. We talked about the vital role of transformative destruction, represented by those encircling flames, as being essential for renewal and new beginnings. And we even touched on some of the intriguing parallels between this ancient Vedic wisdom and certain concepts in modern scientific thought, like oscillating universes and the foundational role of vibration at the quantum level.
And it really does get you thinking, doesn't it, about our place in this grand cosmic dance. It's not like this detached, static universe out there, but this vibrant, ongoing process that we're all a part of. So I'll leave you with a thought to ponder. What if the dance of Nataraja, this perpetual cycle of creation, sustenance, and dissolution, all driven by this fundamental power of vibration, offers us a truly unique and insightful perspective on the ultimate nature of reality, and really our own connection to it? Think about the implications of seeing the universe not as just a bunch of separate objects, but as this eternal dynamic flow of energy and consciousness. What would that mean for how we understand ourselves and the world around us?
It's definitely a perspective worth contemplating. If anything in this deep dive sparked your interest, we really encourage you to explore more, delve deeper into those Vedic texts we've talked about, look into the philosophy of Shaivism, or even those modern scientific concepts we've touched on. There's this whole universe of knowledge out there waiting to be discovered.